The palace of the Avarian Empire stood tall under the soft glow of 3 moons. Its silver walls shone like calm water, and its towers rose high over the capital city. Every night the palace looked peaceful, but tonight was different. Guards rushed across the courtyard, servants whispered in corners, and the royal banners shook in the wind. Everyone sensed that something unusual was happening. Princess Lorana had returned. For weeks she had been away on a diplomatic journey to a distant trading station. The queen expected her daughter to return with reports, data, and new agreements. She did not expect what was coming behind her. A large transport ship landed slowly in the courtyard. Its engines hummed, releasing warm air and gentle light. The palace staff gathered to greet the princess. They prepared the traditional welcome, but their hands trembled slightly. Rumors had already begun to spread. Someone said the princess had brought a rare artifact. Another said she had found a strong protector. No one knew the truth. The ship door opened with a soft hiss. Princess Lorana stepped out first. She wore a long blue cloak that matched the night sky. Her silver hair moved with the wind, and her bright eyes shined with confidence. Her expression was calm, almost too calm, as if she carried a secret in her heart. The guards bowed to her, but their eyes quickly moved to the figure walking behind her, a human. He stepped out slowly, scanning the courtyard with steady eyes. His name was Ethan Ward. He had short dark hair, broad shoulders, and a simple travel uniform. He did not wear armor or carry a weapon. His face looked peaceful, but there was a quiet strength in the way he stood. A wave of whispers rose among the palace staff. A human? Why is he with the princess? Is he a protector? A guest? A prisoner? No one knew, and the unknown made them uneasy. Princess Lorana walked forward, and Ethan walked beside her, not behind her. That alone caused more whispers. In Avarian culture, only trusted partners walk side by side. Visitors usually followed at a respectful distance. The guards exchanged confused looks. Inside the palace, word spread even faster. Advisors whispered to each other across long halls. Servants rushed to prepare the queen's chamber. Nobles gathered in small groups, sharing their guesses. When the queen learned her daughter had returned with a human, she stood from her throne in surprise. She had met humans only a few times in her entire life. They were known across the galaxy for their strong spirit, their ability to survive harsh worlds, and their habit of surprising every species they met. The queen felt cautious. Humans were unpredictable. She ordered the guards to open the grand hall. She wanted to see this human with her own eyes. Princess Lorana and Ethan entered the hall together. The floor was polished stone, glowing softly under the lights. The queen sat on her throne, elegant and powerful. Her silver crown reflected the hall's light. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were sharp, studying every detail. Princess Lorana bowed gracefully. Ethan followed her lead and bowed with respect, though human style, which looked slightly different. The queen noticed this. "Welcome home, my daughter," the queen said. "Thank you, mother," Lorana replied. Her voice held both joy and seriousness. The queen looked at Ethan. "Tell me, who is this human you brought into my palace?" For a moment there was silence. The guards stood still. The nobles leaned forward. Servants held their breath. Even the air itself seemed to pause. Princess Lorana slowly turned to Ethan, then back to her mother. A small smirk appeared on her face, a soft, confident smile that showed she was ready for the moment. "He is Ethan Ward," she said. "He is the human I married." The entire hall gasped at once. The queen's eyes widened. The guards stiffened. A noble nearly dropped the tablet he was holding. Servants whispered to each other in shock. The air felt heavy with disbelief. The queen stood up. Her voice stayed calm, but her surprise was clear. "Married? Without my knowledge? Without the council's approval?" Lorana nodded. "Yes, mother. I made my choice." The queen turned her gaze to Ethan. "Human, step forward." Ethan walked a few steps forward, his posture respectful but steady. He did not look nervous. He looked prepared. The queen studied him carefully. His breathing was even. His eyes were calm. He did not tremble like many outsiders did when facing the queen. "Do you understand what you have done?" the queen asked. "Yes, your majesty," Ethan said in a clear voice. "I know this choice affects more than myself." His words were simple, but they carried weight. Princess Lorana stepped beside him. "Ethan saved my life on the trading station. We faced danger together. He helped me when no one else could. I trust him. The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly, trying to understand. You chose a human as your partner. You know the Council will challenge this. I know, Lyrana said. I will face them. The Queen looked at Ethan again. She searched for any sign of dishonesty or hidden intention. Humans were known for their loyalty, but also for their unpredictable nature. She wanted to judge him herself. What do you want from my daughter? The Queen asked. Ethan answered slowly. I want nothing from her except the chance to stand by her. I did not seek a title or wealth. I care for her because of who she is, not what she is. His answer made the hall quiet again. The Queen saw no fear in his eyes. She only saw steady respect. Princess Lyrana looked proud. The Queen walked down the steps of her throne, which she rarely did. She stopped only a few steps away from Ethan. She looked up at him since humans were slightly taller than Avarians. Human, she said softly. You must understand that the Avarian Empire is ancient. Our rules guide our lives. Marrying a royal is not a small matter. I understand, Ethan replied. Then you must also understand that you will be tested, she said. Ethan nodded. I accept that. Princess Lyrana stepped closer, standing beside him. Her voice was firm. I will face the tests with him. This surprised many nobles. No princess had ever supported a partner so openly on the first day of return. The Queen studied her daughter's face. She saw determination, trust, and something new, happiness. It had been a long time since Lyrana looked this confident and sure. The Queen finally spoke. Very well. The Council will gather tomorrow. Ethan Ward, you will stand before them and prove your intentions. If you pass, you will be accepted into our royal family. If not, she paused. Ethan listened calmly. He did not flinch. Then this marriage will face heavy consequences. Princess Lyrana held her head high. We are ready. The Queen walked back to her throne slowly. Tonight you will rest in the guest wing. Guards will guide you. Ethan nodded and stepped back respectfully. Princess Lyrana took Ethan's hand gently, guiding him out of the hall. The nobles watched their hands with surprise. A royal holding a human's hand so openly was unheard of. As they left, whispers filled the hall again. Is the human brave or foolish? Why would the princess choose someone so unexpected? What will the council decide? Only one thing was clear. The arrival of a human in the Avarian palace had changed everything. The empire would never be the same again, and this was only the beginning. The Avarian Empire slept under its 3 moons, but inside the guest wing of the palace, Ethan Ward lay awake. The soft glowing walls hummed gently, and the air smelled of fresh flowers from the royal gardens. The bed was comfortable, yet he could not sleep. Tomorrow he would face the royal council. Tomorrow the fate of his bond with Princess Lyrana would be tested. He breathed slowly, trying to calm his thoughts. His mind drifted back to the day everything changed, the day he met Lyrana for the first time. It felt far away now, almost like a story told by someone else, yet it was real. Every moment of it was real. The memory returned clear and bright. Weeks earlier, Princess Lyrana visited the Varel Station, a place known for peaceful trade between many species. It was a busy place full of bright lights, wide halls, and voices from across the galaxy. Every corner smelled of spices, machinery, or fresh energy shields. Lyrana arrived with 2 guards. Her mission was simple: negotiate for new medicines and sign a supply agreement. It was supposed to be calm, predictable, and safe. She never expected disaster. While she walked through the station's main corridor, the floor suddenly shook. Lights flickered. A loud warning alarm filled the air. Structural damage detected. Sector C unstable. Evacuate immediately. People ran in every direction. Doors shut automatically. Vendors grabbed their goods. The sound of metal groaning echoed through the station. One of the support pillars had cracked. Her guards tried to lead her to safety, but a section of the wall collapsed between them. Dust filled the air. Lyrana coughed and shielded her eyes. When the dust cleared, her guards were trapped behind fallen beams. "Princess," one guard called. "Stay where you are. We will reach you." But she could see the fear in their eyes. The structure was unstable. The beams were too heavy. A second tremor hit the station. The floor tilted. A large metal panel slipped from above, falling toward Lyrana. Before she could react, someone rushed toward her. Ethan Ward. He grabbed her arm and pulled her out of the panel's path just as it crashed down with a loud clang. They rolled across the floor, stopping behind a half-broken barrier. Lyrana looked at him with surprise. He looked different from anyone she had met. His face was calm despite the danger. His breathing was steady. His eyes were sharp and aware. "Are you hurt?" Ethan asked. "No," she answered quietly. "You saved me." He nodded once, not seeming to think it was a big deal. "Good. The structure is still unstable. We need to move." Another rumble shook the hall. Sparks flew from broken lights. Lyrana tried to stand, but more panels fell, blocking the path to the evacuation area. "We cannot go back that way," she said. "Then we find another way," Ethan replied. He looked around quickly. A partially open maintenance door stood nearby. "Through there," Lyrana hesitated. "That leads to the lower tunnels." "Better than staying here," he said simply. She nodded. Together they ran toward the door, slipping inside just before another part of the ceiling collapsed. The maintenance tunnels were dark and narrow. Pipes ran along the walls, humming softly. It smelled of metal and old coolant. Lyrana tried to stay calm, but she had never been in such a place before. Ethan walked ahead with careful steps. "You know these tunnels?" she asked. "I worked on a similar station before," he said. "Layout looks familiar." Lyrana watched him closely. There was something steady about him, something reliable. After a few minutes, another quake shook the tunnel. Lyrana lost her balance, but Ethan caught her arm gently. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded again. "Yes." He did not let go until she stood firm. As they continued, they reached a fork in the path, left or right. Lyrana looked uncertain. Ethan crouched down, touching the floor with his hand. "Air is moving from the right," he said. "That means an exit might be close that way." Lyrana almost smiled. "You notice everything." "I just try to stay alive," Ethan replied with a small shrug. They moved right. After a short walk, they reached a broken service room. Debris blocked half the space, but a narrow path remained open. A small emergency light flickered overhead. Lyrana sat on a fallen metal crate to rest. Ethan checked the door on the other side, but it was sealed shut. "We will need to wait until the rescue teams reach this sector," he said. "Moving forward is too risky." Lyrana looked at him for a long moment. "You are very calm." "Panic does not help," Ethan said simply. "You stay focused, you stay alive." She studied him. "You are human, correct?" He nodded. "Ethan Ward, engineer from Earth." Lyrana laughed very softly. "Of all species, a human saved me today." He tilted his head, curious. "Is that surprising?" "Humans have a strong reputation across the galaxy," she said. "Some admire you. Some fear you. Most cannot predict you." Ethan gave a small smile. "We are full of surprises." She found herself relaxing. His steady voice helped her stay calm. Hours passed slowly. They talked about their lives, their worlds, their dreams. Lyrana shared her responsibilities as a princess. She explained how heavy expectations sometimes felt. Ethan shared how he grew up on Earth, how he worked in engineering, how he believed in helping people when he could. The more they spoke, the more she realized he had a good heart and a humble nature. At one point, another quake shook the room, forcing them to take shelter under a metal beam together. Their shoulders brushed lightly, and Lyrana felt something warm inside her chest. When the tremor stopped, Ethan looked at her. "You okay?" "Yes," she said softly. "Thank you." Their eyes held for a moment longer than expected. Something quiet but strong began to form between them. Hours later, rescue teams finally found them. When the doors opened, Lyrana stepped into the hallway, but she turned back to Ethan. "You saved me," she said again. "Glad you are safe," he replied. The guards rushed to her side. They checked her for injuries. They asked questions. They tried to take her home immediately, but Lyrana kept glancing back at Ethan. Something inside her would not let go. When she returned to the Avarian ship, she requested a private meeting room. Ethan entered, unsure why he was called. Lyrana looked at him with calm eyes. "You saved my life. You worked with me. You treated me like a person, not a princess." "I just did what felt right," he said. She took a breath. "Ethan, I want you to come with me to my home world." He blinked. "You want me to what?" Her voice was steady. "I trust you. I want to know you better. I want you by my side." Ethan looked unsure. "Your people might not accept me. Then we will face that problem together," she said. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. All right. They left the station together, and on that journey home, their trust grew into something deeper, something stronger than either of them expected. Back in the present, Ethan lay in the guest chamber of the palace, remembering it all. The dangers, the quiet conversations, the moments that changed both their lives. He closed his eyes. Tomorrow, he would face the council. He was not afraid. He had faced falling ceilings, collapsing corridors, and darkness underground. He could face a room full of nobles if it meant staying beside the one person who believed in him. He whispered softly to himself, "Whatever comes, I will stand with her." Outside his window, the 3 moons watched him silently. The real test was about to begin. Morning light filled the Avarian palace, turning the silver halls into rivers of soft glow. Servants walked quickly, nobles whispered to each other, and guards stood alert. Everyone knew this day was important. Today, Ethan Ward would face the Royal Council. The Council's judgment could change the future of the Empire. It could also change Ethan's place beside Princess Lyrana forever. Ethan woke early. He dressed in simple clothes, the same style he wore on his journey. He did not want to appear as someone trying to impress the nobles. He wanted to show honesty. When he stepped outside his chamber, Princess Lyrana was waiting for him. She wore a formal robe of deep blue with silver patterns. Her hair was tied back neatly, showing her strong features. When she saw him, her eyes softened. "You slept well?" she asked. "Enough," he said. "You do not have to face this alone," she added gently. Ethan shook his head. "I know. Still, I want to stand on my own feet today." Lyrana smiled faintly. "Very well. I will stand with you, not in front of you." They walked side by side through long hallways. As they moved, nobles and servants stepped aside, watching them with curious, uncertain eyes. Some looked impressed. Some looked confused. A few looked quietly worried. Lyrana ignored their reactions. Ethan did the same. At last, they reached the Grand Council chamber. The chamber was wide and tall, with layered seats arranged in a half-circle. The ceiling was decorated with glowing patterns that represented Avarian history. In the center stood a circular platform where individuals were tested and judged. The queen sat on a raised seat at the back of the chamber. She wore her crown and formal robe, showing complete authority. Her expression was calm, but her eyes watched everything closely. The council members filled their seats. There were 12 of them, each an elder with wisdom and strict opinions. Their feathers, jewelry, and robes showed their high status. When Ethan entered, the chamber grew silent. He walked to the center platform. Lyrana stood a few steps behind him, showing support without overshadowing him. The queen noticed this and kept it in her mind. The head counselor, Elder Varen, stood up first. He was tall, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Ethan Ward," Elder Varen said, "you stand here as the chosen partner of Princess Lyrana, but our laws are ancient. You must prove your intentions, your character, and your truth." Ethan nodded. "I understand." "Then hear the first question," the elder said. "Do you seek power in our empire?" Ethan answered simply, "No, I did not come here for power." The council chamber filled with soft murmurs. They were not used to such direct simplicity. Elder Varen raised one eyebrow. "If you do not seek power, then what do you seek?" Ethan turned slightly toward Lyrana. "I seek her happiness. I seek the chance to stand beside her." Nothing more. Lyrana's expression softened. The queen watched closely. Some council members leaned back, thoughtful. Others still looked doubtful. The second elder, Elder Sira, stood next. She was known for her strict nature. Her voice was calm but sharp. "Human many before you have desired royal favor. What makes your heart different from theirs?" Ethan thought for a moment. "I did not know she was a princess when I helped her. I acted because she was someone who needed help. I did not look for title or reward." Council members paused. A few shifted in their seats. Elder Sira nodded slowly. "Honesty is rare." The queen kept watching him. Now came the next part, the traditional trial. This trial tested wisdom, calm thinking, and patience. It was not a physical test. It was a challenge of mind and character. Elder Varen clapped his hands once. 4 servants brought in a large table with 3 items: a glowing crystal sphere, a puzzle board with shifting pieces, a bowl filled with small stones. Ethan looked at them quietly. Elder Varen explained, "You must complete 3 tasks. Each task tests a different part of your character." Task 1 began. A servant placed the crystal sphere before Ethan. The sphere glowed softly, and inside it, colored lights moved like floating clouds. "This sphere reacts to your thoughts," Elder Varen said. "You must calm it. If your mind is restless, the lights will turn wild. If your mind is steady, the lights will settle." Ethan took a slow breath. He focused on the memory of helping Lorana in the station tunnels. He remembered staying calm during the falling debris, the darkness, the shaking ground. He let that same calmness spread through him. The sphere lights began to slow. Then they moved gently. Finally, they settled into one soft color. The council members looked impressed. Even the Queen raised her eyebrows slightly. Elder Varen nodded. First task complete. Task 2 began next. The puzzle board lit up with glowing shapes that shifted like pieces of a moving map. Ethan had to arrange them into a stable pattern. The difficulty was high. Even many nobles struggled with it. Ethan studied the board before touching it. He traced the patterns with his eyes, understanding how the shapes wanted to move. Then he started arranging them. He did not rush. He moved pieces slowly, carefully. When one piece shifted unexpectedly, he simply adjusted the others. He treated the puzzle like a living thing, not a battle. After a few minutes, the shifting pieces settled into a perfect pattern. Elder Sira looked surprised. "You solved one of our hardest patterns on your first attempt," Ethan replied quietly. "I used to fix damaged machines. This felt similar." Lorana looked proud. The Queen watched him with growing interest. Task 3 began. A servant placed the bowl of stones in front of Ethan. Each stone had a different marking. This task was about patience. "You must sort these stones by their markings," Elder Varen said, "but you must do it without rushing. If you act too fast, the markings will fade." Ethan touched one stone gently. He took his time studying each marking. He worked with slow, steady hands. The council chamber grew quiet as he sorted the stones one by one. His calmness impressed many who were watching. When he finished, the markings on every stone remained clear. Elder Varen spoke again. 3 tasks were given, 3 tasks completed. Soft murmurs filled the chamber again. One elder whispered, "He is patient." Another said, "He thinks clearly." A third said, "He kept calm under pressure." The Queen finally stood. "The trials are complete," she said. "Now we will speak of character." She stepped down from her high seat and walked toward Ethan. Her steps were slow but confident. When she stood before him, the chamber went silent. "You faced these tests with dignity," she said. "But I must ask you one more question, human. A question that no trial can measure." Ethan stood straight. "Ask anything, Your Majesty." The Queen looked directly into his eyes. "Why should I trust you with my daughter's heart?" The chamber held its breath. Ethan answered softly, "Because I will never treat her as a symbol or a prize. She is a person. She is someone I respect deeply. I will not walk ahead of her or behind her. I will walk beside her, always." For a moment, even the council was silent. Princess Lyrana's gaze warmed with emotion. The Queen looked at Ethan for a long time. She did not speak for several seconds. Finally, she turned to the council. "You have seen his actions. You have heard his words. You must now give your judgment," the elders whispered among themselves. Some nodded. Some frowned. Some remained neutral. Ethan stood silently, waiting. Lyrana folded her hands tightly, watching every elder. The Queen waited for their decision. After several minutes, Elder Varen turned toward her. "Your Majesty, the council will need more time. The final judgment will be announced tomorrow." The Queen nodded. "Very well." She looked at Ethan once more. "You have shown respect today. Tomorrow will decide your place in this palace." Ethan bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Lyrana stepped beside him, and together they walked out of the chamber. As they left, the nobles whispered once more. Some admired him. Some doubted him. Some feared the change he might bring. But one thing was clear. Ethan Ward had surprised the council, and the Queen was beginning to see that this human was not just a traveler. He was someone with courage, patience, and truth in his heart. Tomorrow, the final judgment would come, and nothing would be the same again. The palace was quieter than usual that morning. Sunlight poured through tall, arched windows, scattering across the polished floors and gilded walls. Servants moved silently as though sensing that something important was about to happen. In the throne room, the air seemed heavier than normal, a strange tension weaving between the tapestries and golden pillars. Queen Aerolith had called for the council early. She stood near the center, her royal robes flowing around her, and her eyes were sharper than anyone had seen in years. Her lips pressed into a thin line as she scanned the room. The advisors, nobles, and generals all looked uneasy. They had spent decades watching the queen make calculated decisions, but today, her gaze was different. Curious, almost uncertain. "Who is he?" the queen demanded, her voice echoing through the hall. Every eye turned toward the doorway. The Princess Lyra stood there, her hand resting lightly on the banister as she leaned back with a smirk that seemed to irritate the queen. "He's the human I married," Lyra said, her voice calm, almost teasing yet full of pride. The words hung in the air, strange and almost impossible for many in the room to accept. Humans were rarely seen in this part of the galaxy. They were considered a minor species by most, untested in the ways of galactic politics, warfare, and diplomacy. Yet here was the princess smiling confidently, as if the very idea of the queen questioning her choice amused her. The queen blinked, then her hands clenched at her sides. You married a human?" she repeated, disbelief breaking into her tone. "Do you understand what this means, Lyra? This is not just a personal choice. This is a matter of the kingdom, of the alliances, and of our legacy." Lyra's smirk widened. "I understand perfectly, Mother. I also understand him better than anyone else ever could." A murmur ran through the room. Some nobles looked shocked, others concerned, and a few whispered excitedly as though imagining the possibilities of this alliance. Queen Aerolith's eyes narrowed. "And what makes him worthy of our bloodline? He is human. His species is known for unpredictability, for recklessness, for weakness in matters that require diplomacy and control." Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm and steady. "He is human, yes, but he has strength that you cannot see, Mother. He has courage that no other being I know possesses. He faced dangers that would have destroyed many of our strongest warriors, and he did it with nothing but his mind, his hands, and his will. He does not rely on force alone. He inspires, he adapts, and he protects. That is why he is worthy of standing beside me." The queen's gaze softened slightly, but only for a moment. She crossed the room, approaching Lyra. The two women stood face to face, the air between them thick with tension. "Lyra, I have watched you grow into a wise and powerful leader. But love can blind even the strongest of us. Can you truly trust him with your life? With the kingdom?" Lyra lifted her chin, her eyes unwavering. "Mother, he has already proven himself. Not for me, but for the people, for our allies, for the safety of the kingdom. You do not need to trust him. You only need to see the truth of what he has done." The queen stared at her daughter for a long moment. Then she turned slowly, gesturing toward the throne room doors. "Bring him here. I want to see for myself what kind of human could win the heart of my daughter, and perhaps the respect of my court." A hush fell over the room as Lyra's hand reached for the door handle. In the next moment, she disappeared through the archway, moving toward the courtyard where her husband waited. He stood there, unarmed in the quiet morning light, as though he knew exactly why he had been summoned. His expression was calm, composed, and yet there was a spark in his eyes that made the queen's advisors uneasy. Many of them had never seen a human so confident, so unafraid in the presence of royalty. Lyra appeared beside him, taking his hand in hers. She gave the queen a small, almost daring smile. "Here he is." Queen Aerolith's eyes studied him carefully. The human was taller than she expected, not heavily armored or muscular like the warriors she knew. But his posture, the quiet strength in his gaze, the way he met the queen's scrutiny without faltering, it spoke of a different kind of power. One that could not be measured by size or weaponry. "What is your name, human?" the queen asked, her tone cautious yet tinged with curiosity. He bowed slightly. "I am Adrian, your majesty." "Adrian," the queen repeated. She looked him over, trying to read the truth in his face. "And you claim to be worthy of my daughter's hand? Of standing beside her in the responsibilities of this kingdom?" Adrian's smile was calm, unassuming, but confident. "I do not claim, your majesty. I have acted. I have proven myself where words cannot. If you give me a chance, I will show you that your daughter made no mistake." Lyra squeezed his hand. and the faintest light of amusement touched her eyes. "He has already done more than most of your generals, Mother. He saved lives you didn't even know were at risk. He has strategies that no one else could have conceived. And he has my trust completely." The Queen studied him, the tension between authority and doubt visible on her face. Then, almost imperceptibly, her shoulders relaxed. "I will watch him closely," she said finally, her voice firm. "Prove to me that humans can be more than you appear. Do not disappoint me, Adrian." Adrian inclined his head. "I will not, Your Majesty." The Queen turned and gestured toward the council chambers. "Sit. We will discuss the matters at hand, and you will be included, human. I want to see your mind, your strategy, your understanding of what it means to protect this kingdom." Adrian followed, walking confidently yet respectfully beside Lyra. He noticed the way the council members watched him, some with suspicion, some with curiosity, some with outright disbelief. Humans were rare here, and their reputation as fragile beings lingered like a shadow. But Adrian had learned long ago that strength often came from unpredictability, and he was ready to show them exactly what humans were capable of. The council chamber was vast, with high ceilings, long tables, and walls lined with portraits of ancestors who had shaped the kingdom. Advisors murmured among themselves as Lyra and Adrian took their seats. The Queen's presence filled the room, commanding attention even without a word. "Now," she said finally, "let us discuss the recent incursions along our borders. Reports say that a fleet of mercenaries has been sighted near the northern passes. They are not of any known faction, and their technology seems unusual." Adrian leaned forward slightly, eyes focused. "Unusual technology often means unfamiliar tactics. I would suggest we consider possibilities they have not anticipated. Their patterns, their movement, their formation, these will reveal weaknesses if observed carefully. And we can use deception to force them into predictable behavior." A murmur ran through the council. Some generals frowned, uncomfortable with a human advising on military matters. Others exchanged glances, curious at the clarity and logic in his approach. Queen Aralith's eyes narrowed, studying him closely. "And you are confident this will work?" she asked. Adrian nodded. "Confidence comes from preparation, Your Majesty. I do not ask for blind trust, only for the opportunity to show the results." Lyra reached out subtly, resting her hand atop his. A small gesture, but one that signaled complete trust. The Queen remained silent for a moment, then leaned back slightly. "Very well. You will oversee reconnaissance. You will not lead troops into battle, not yet, but your insights will guide our strategy." Adrian inclined his head, accepting the condition. "As you wish, Your Majesty." The tension in the room eased slightly, though whispers continued. A human commanding respect from the Queen was a rarity no one could ignore. The seeds of curiosity, doubt, and fascination had been planted, and Adrian, quietly confident, knew that the coming days would test him in ways no human had ever faced. As the council moved to discuss logistics and preparations, Lyra's eyes met his across the table. A small private smile passed between them. It said more than words could. They were partners, and together they would face whatever challenges came next. Outside the palace, the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the courtyards. For the first time in years, the people below watched with anticipation, sensing that something extraordinary had entered their world. A human had stepped into a kingdom of legends, and even the Queen herself could not yet foresee the changes his presence would bring. And in that moment, Lyra knew that her choice had been right. She had chosen a human, yes, but not just any human. She had chosen someone who could stand beside her, who could challenge her, who could grow with her, and who could protect what she loved. And Adrian, though calm on the outside, felt the weight of the Queen's gaze and the eyes of the kingdom upon him. Yet he did not falter. Humans had always risen to challenges, even when underestimated, and he intended to show everyone that day after day humans could achieve the impossible. The first test of his journey in this kingdom was only beginning, and as Lyra whispered his name quietly, a promise of partnership and courage, Adrian felt the first spark of a future neither he nor the Queen could yet imagine. A future where humans were not just guests in this galaxy, but its unexpected champions. The palace was alive with anticipation. Word had spread quickly. The human, Adrian, would lead the reconnaissance of the northern passes where rumors of mercenary activity had unsettled the kingdom. The Queen's court buzzed with whispers, some skeptical, some eager, as nobles and generals awaited proof that the human could live up to the bold claims of the princess. Lyra stood by the palace balcony, her gaze fixed on the distant mountains. The northern passes stretched like jagged teeth against the horizon, hidden by mists and forests. Her fingers rested lightly on the railing, and though her smile was calm, her heart raced. She knew the danger, but she also knew Adrian. He had faced worse and had always found a way. Adrian joined her silently, his presence steady and reassuring. "They'll be ready," he said quietly, eyes scanning the distant passes. "We need to approach with patience, not force. Watch, wait, and understand their pattern before striking." Lyra nodded. "They underestimate you." "They underestimate us," Adrian smiled faintly. "Then we will give them no reason to feel safe." The next morning, the reconnaissance party assembled at the edge of the forest. Adrian led a small group of skilled scouts, careful not to reveal their presence too early. Each movement was calculated, each decision precise. As they advanced, the terrain grew more treacherous, and the signs of enemy activity became apparent. Disturbed soil, faint tracks, and traces of unfamiliar technology left behind like breadcrumbs. Adrian crouched, examining the tracks carefully. "They are testing the area," he murmured. "Not searching, not attacking. They expect someone to fall into their trap. We will not." "Follow my lead and stay silent." The scouts obeyed, impressed by his calm authority. Humans were rare in this kingdom, and many doubted their resilience. Yet here was Adrian, moving with focus and clarity that rivaled any veteran warrior of the realm. Hours passed as they moved through the winding passes. Finally, the signs became unmistakable. A camp hidden among the trees, guards stationed at key points. Adrian signaled the group to halt. "Observe. Count them. Learn their routines. We will strike only when the moment is right." Lyra, who had joined the observation from a safe distance, watched in admiration. He was methodical, patient, and unflinching. She had seen him face danger before, but this was different. Here he led with intelligence, using strategy instead of raw strength. As the sun began to set, the mercenary leaders gathered near the center of the camp. Adrian leaned close to the scouts. "They are planning something larger than just raiding the passes. Perhaps an ambush, perhaps more. But we have the advantage. They do not know we watch. We control this moment." That night, under a moonless sky, Adrian orchestrated a small, precise strike. Using clever decoys and misdirection, the scouts disabled key communication arrays and neutralized select guards without alerting the entire camp. By morning, the mercenary force was disoriented and disorganized, unable to respond effectively. When the Queen arrived to inspect the results, she found the human standing at the center of the camp, overseeing the secure prisoners and damaged equipment. His expression was calm, but the confidence he radiated was undeniable. Queen Aerolith's eyes scanned the scene, her arms crossed. "So this is your strategy, human?" she asked, her voice measured. Adrian nodded. "Strategy, Your Majesty. Not brute force. Not reckless attacks. Observation, understanding, and precise action." The Queen stepped closer, studying him carefully. She could see the logic in his plan, the careful balance of risk and control. "And the lives of our scouts? They were never in true danger?" Adrian's gaze remained steady. "Only minimal risk, Your Majesty. Every step was calculated. Their safety was my priority." A murmur ran through the gathered nobles. Many had doubted humans, assumed they lacked discipline or foresight. Yet here was proof, a human leading strategy that outmatched even seasoned generals. Lyra moved beside Adrian, taking his hand. "You see, Mother? He does not rely on strength alone. He uses his mind, his courage, and his skill. That is why I married him." Queen Aerolith's lips pressed together, a sign of both contemplation and reluctant admiration. Perhaps I underestimated humans. Perhaps I misjudged you, Adrian." Adrian bowed slightly. "Respect is earned through action, Your Majesty, not words." "I am grateful for your recognition." The Queen's gaze softened, her stern demeanor giving way to something rare. "Respect. You have proven your worth here, not just to me, but to the kingdom. I see now why my daughter chose you. You are not merely a human, you are remarkable." Lyra's smile widened, but her eyes held a spark of mischief. "I told you, Mother. I told you he was worthy." The Queen's eyes flicked to her daughter, then back to Adrian. Indeed, you have my blessing, human. But know this, your trials are not over. Our enemies are many, and this victory is only the beginning. You will be tested again. Adrian met her gaze steadily. I am ready, Your Majesty. Whatever comes, I will protect this kingdom and your daughter. Lyra squeezed his hand, feeling the weight of both the past and the future. She had chosen him not just for love, but for the strength she knew he possessed. And now the kingdom itself had seen that strength, undeniable and true. Over the following weeks, Adrian continued to prove himself. He trained alongside the kingdom's warriors, sharing insights and strategies. He studied the cultures, the politics, and the alliances, earning the respect of advisors and generals alike. Slowly, he became not just the husband of a princess, but a leader in his own right. The people began to speak of him in whispers that grew louder each day. Tales spread of the human who had saved scouts, outwitted mercenaries, and earned the trust of a princess. For a species often underestimated, Adrian's actions became a symbol of what humans could achieve when given the chance. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, Lyra and Adrian walked through the palace gardens. The air was warm, carrying the scent of blooming flowers and distant rivers. Lyra leaned against him, her head resting lightly on his shoulder. You've done more than I could have imagined, she said softly. The Queen respects you now. The people respect you. And yet you remain, you. Adrian chuckled lightly. I am still human, Lyra. Nothing more, nothing less. But perhaps that is enough. She looked up at him, her eyes full of affection. It is more than enough. You've changed everything. For me, for the kingdom, and maybe even for the way humans are seen. He smiled, taking her hand in his. Then let us continue, together. At that moment, the Queen appeared at the edge of the garden. Her usual stern expression was softened, and there was a hint of a smile on her lips. Lyra, Adrian, you have done well. I see now that my daughter's choice was wise. You have earned your place here, human. Adrian bowed respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored. The Queen studied them for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. Let the kingdom know that the human who married my daughter is not merely a guest or a curiosity. He is a protector, a strategist, and a partner. Treat him with the respect he has earned. As she walked away, Lyra looked at Adrian, her eyes sparkling with pride and affection. See? Even the Queen admits it now. Adrian smiled, squeezing her hand gently. I see. But the real victory is having your trust, Lyra. That has always been enough for me. In the days that followed, the kingdom settled into a new rhythm. Adrian's presence became a symbol of change, of courage, intelligence, and unexpected strength. Humans were no longer seen as fragile or unpredictable. Through him, the people began to see that greatness could come in any form, and that alliances, love, and loyalty could overcome even centuries of doubt. Lyra and Adrian continued to work side by side, planning, learning, and protecting the kingdom together, and as the stars rose above the palace each night, their partnership became a legend whispered through the halls. The princess and the human who defied expectation, who faced danger with courage, and who showed a kingdom that humans could stand among the greatest in the galaxy. The Queen, watching from her chambers, felt a quiet pride, not just for her daughter, but for the human who had proven that strength, honor, and intelligence were not limited by species. And for the first time in years, she allowed herself to believe that the kingdom's future was brighter than ever. Lyra leaned against Adrian as they watched the stars together. Who knew that a human could change everything? She whispered. Adrian smiled, gazing at the same stars. Humans have always surprised those willing to see, and now we build the future, together. And so, the kingdom flourished under their combined guidance. Humans earned respect across the stars, and the story of a princess who married a human became legend. A tale of courage, trust, and partnership that would be remembered for generations. The Queen, the princess, and the human, each in their way, had learned a truth older than any kingdom. That greatness is not determined by birth, appearance, or expectation, but by action, heart, and the courage to stand beside one another. The stars above shone brighter than ever, witnessing the rise of a new era.